All right, welcome to the Road to Discovery podcast. This is your host, Christian King Taylor, and I am pleased to be with my wonderful guest once again, Mr. Sun Ray. How you doing, brother?
So joyful, man. So abundant. So grateful. It's been beautiful, man.
I feel it, man. We haven't hopped on in a little bit. I'm happy to see you, big dog.
Yeah, man. It's been a minute. Those weeks be flying by, man. I'll be like, yeah, it's already been 2 weeks. Sometimes we get up to 3 weeks, but life. That's how life be. Life when you be having a good time, it be flying.
Yeah, time be flying, man. But I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing. They say time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah, and you also age as much as what your consciousness experienced. So if you did something that took 3 hours and it felt like 30 minutes, you have only aged 30 minutes physically, which is why being in a good mood and grounded and happy and present actually preserves your vitality in life.
That makes a lot of sense because I see a lot of people. They'll be talking about like how time feels like it's moving faster after COVID and all these other things. When in actuality, that could mean we're in a higher frequency to the point where we're going to be living a lot longer than we were living. Just, I
Oh,
mean, not than we are living now, because I do know that human beings and people prior to us used to live much longer periods of time. Their lifespan was almost extremely long. If you look at even some of the characters of the Bible, what wasn't like Abraham like 900 years old or something like that, or Noah wasn't Noah like 900 years old or
all
something
of
like that?
all of them was 700 years plus, but we have very few individuals that still do that today. That's
Oh
just
yeah,
some
for sure,
suppressed information. Yeah.
for sure, for sure. Speaking of that, I think that kind of segues right perfectly into what our focus is going to be today, because I wanted to first tap into programming. Some of the programmings that we go through childhood and through adulthood, through media and other things. But even to start off, which is a lot of people's first programming, is religion. I grew up in well, I grew up going to Baptist church when I was with my family, but also I went to a Catholic school in where I went to church throughout the week. My father went to that same exact Catholic school, so he had some of the exact same programming. And I do know that you had a life, your younger life was majority spent in church also. So I wanted to dive into that.
Yeah, man. Religion is huge. Because it's a lot of prana energy associated with it, right? And that prana energy goes somewhere, right? So if on a metaphysical level, when your crown is open, at all the way at the top of everything is the one, the all, source, God, what people say. More spiritual people usually say source, and I resonate more with like source or the one or all that is, because God is almost allegorical to something outside of us, like completely separate. And you know that you can never be separated from all that is, because there's nothing else to have come from but all that is. We couldn't have
Right.
came from anything else other than what we are. You know what I mean? So when you know that on a metaphysical level, that those principalities exist in that order, then it's easier to operate from from authenticity on who you are and where we actually come from. And it's a lot more difficult for your knots to get I mean, for your energy to get knotted up. And that
Hmm.
religion is really, it's like it's really easy to get knotted up because it's a lot of truth, you
Mm.
know. Um,
Exactly. Exactly.
when Yeshua says, "I am the way," it's a lot of interpretation that can be made there, and a lot of translations wasn't necessarily accurate as well, which can throw some things off. So when he say, "I'm the way," it's about being like me, being exactly like him,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
going within and knowing that you and the Father, you and God are one, and knowing that the kingdom of God is inside of you, and literally knowing that your faith, knowing that this was going to happen, made an outcome change in the physical. So it started within. So it was like, as within, as without, as above, so
Mm.
below. It was the exact same thing. So That's why it's difficult, because it's rooted in a lot of truth, and a lot of people resonate it and they see results because they start to manifest. A lot of people pray so hard to a God outside of them, but they believe it 100% that it's so happen that it's going to happen, that it
Yeah,
manifests. So
right.
this, but when you're relying on something outside of you, you always have a smear of doubt, because when an outcome doesn't reflect that which you exactly prayed from, it's easy to stumble and it's easy to not manifest. And a lot of people stay stuck in that cycle. Then it's like, oh man, it's never happened, but let me keep doing it. Oh man, it's never happened, but let me keep doing it. And it's like subconsciously you will live in the hood, in a bad neighborhood, and you can struggle all your entire life and keep praying in that same cycle because your energy's so knotted up. And it's like I've seen it and I felt it, because it's uh rooted in real alchemy. But it's the energy is distorted, and the interpretation today is so far from what the original intention was. Yeah.
Yeah. And even because I have someone I want to get back to, but even just even what you said, I think it kind of triggers me because even like when people say things like a bad neighborhood, those are basically always neighborhoods that look like us, that have people that look like us. And then when you look at something as a bad neighborhood, that's what you expect from the neighborhood. You're already manifesting bad things to happen, when in actuality people are raised in that neighborhood, people live, people have joy, people have life. That just like in any other neighborhood, things go on, but it's just the neighborhood. It's just where things happen. It just so happens that people are in a low financial status, so there's certain things that happen that might not be comfortable, but it's a neighborhood. It's humans dwelling together in a close proximity in a community, you know. And so, but what I wanted to ask you first, I wanted to start. What do you recall is your first experience with religion?
Oh, okay, right. Before I hit that, I want to just add on something you said when you was talking about the neighborhoods. You know that expression? You don't ever want to become a product of your neighborhood.
Hmm.
That how you gonna tell somebody don't be what you are surrounded by? That is almost the craziest hyperbole. And it's weird that this was normalized, telling you,
Yeah,
hey, you have to literally not be exactly what's all around you. So it's obvious that there is an issue all around that we're ignoring, but we're still putting those expectations on a child to
yeah. Which
just
teaches us
be
which teaches
delusional.
us to disconnect. It teaches
This,
you in order to transcend whatever you feel is the badness of that neighborhood, you must disconnect from that neighborhood and disconnect from those people in order to be even looked at in a better way. Which is why many of us, once we get money or we get a little bit of consciousness or something, we separate from these things. We separate from these people, and we feel like, oh, if I do this, they pulling me down, or this, and it's already wired within the programming where it's telling you that you cannot be that, and there is even if you look at
that's crazy.
gentrification, or if you look at community building and all these things, a lot of times community building and gentrification is to
Mm.
pull you out of your own neighborhood. It changes the whole system of your neighborhood. We have to start putting more fast food and more Starbucks and all these other things, and all these other things that don't look like our neighborhoods anymore. So we start feeling uncomfortable. We're putting more police. We're putting
Mm.
different things. When in actuality, I don't know if you've been to, let's say, a more predominantly white neighborhood. You don't see that many police riding around. You don't
Oh
see
no.
you don't see many liquor stores. You don't see a lot of these things. You know,
You don't
like
see as many
even
churches or beauty supplies
our
or
churches and beauty.
McDonald's.
Yeah, because even though they still have access to these things, but they're marketed in a completely different way. It's just it's a convenience store. It's not a liquor store. It's a nice convenience shop. It's what's we call it? What's the or it's everything's with it's just marketing, and how things are promoted is completely different. And just like we say, words are powerful. You know,
Mm,
how something is promoted, how something is given to you is how you're going to receive it.
that is wild, and that's so accurate.
So back to the question: what is your first memory or experience you can think of with religion?
Yeah, I had a deep memory about I used to get sleep paralysis quite a bit as a kid. I got it all the time. But one time I sleep paralysis on my face and my lip was like smushed up to my nose like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't breathe when I'm panicking. And I'm like, oh crap. All right. What church tell me? What church tell me? Tell me to pray. So I prayed. I'm like, oh God, please help me, please help me, please help me. And as I'm fucking sitting right there, I feel a tap on my head and my face comes to the side like this, and I'm just gasped. And I'm sitting right there breathing. I was like, oh wow. Okay, so it works. So the manifestation of a child, that innocence, that trust, especially when your parents guide you to do it, you're powerful enough to manifest that type of experience. But as you get older, you start to realize that life is about performing. The ego gets bigger, the external validation gets bigger on a whole human level for every experience. To succeed at work, to succeed in school, to succeed at life with women, you got to be portrayed a certain way. So as a result, you start performing for that same God, which you thought you had inherent rights to as a child to manifest it because your parents said if you pray to God, this will happen. But as we detach from that and as we grow further away and we forget more of who we are, we
Yeah.
started to associate that with performance, which negatively impacts our manifestation. You know what I mean? We can't manifest because we know that we watched that porn before. We know we pulled that girl. You know what I mean? We know that we live like this. Here it is, all of this perpetuated stuff, all of the music on the TV shows is telling you to kill, destroy, take his woman, take his wife, rob him at then all of the liquor stores, the convenience stores got a junk food right there too. They all big bright colors, red, yellow, which cools your eyes in. You're already high because you're smoking to deal with the constant stimulation in the air, the constant poisons that they putting out all of these chemtrails of planes, the 5G, which is fucking us up, or also calcifying the pineal gland, the fluoride in the fucking water. You're smoking to alleviate the anxiety associated with all of that because it actually breaks the mind control. When it breaks the mind control, it also gives you the munchies. When you're at the store, it's the bright colors associated with the munchies, which is like, okay, you're going to break this, but then I'm going to fuck your other mind up by allowing you to put the junk in. And it's just a perpetuated cycle. So it's all connected. The same thing
Yeah.
the same uh, energy that has that in place is the same energy that has the religion in place because they serve the same purpose.
Yeah. Just like you were saying just a second ago, everything is so interwound that it's easy to be receptive of what they're giving to you because it already feels familiar. You know,
Mm.
when they teach you to pray to God, we were people who would speak to ourselves. We would speak to our higher self. We would speak to our higher consciousness. We would already be speaking. We would be talking to ourselves, asking ourselves questions, expecting things from
And
ourselves.
answering ourselves.
Exactly. So, in turn, once they're able to say, hey, keep on doing that, but just do that and put the name of what you're doing that to be this a God or Jesus
It
that you're doing
distorts
it
your
to.
energy.
So it just distorts. It's like a cell phone. I
I
can
wasn't daydreaming. I was talking to God from the Bible. That's what they
yeah,
said.
yeah.
Taking your power away.
Or just like even if somebody it's you know nowadays you see a lot of people they'll hop on Instagram or TikTok and stuff, and they'll say, "Oh, well, I received a download from God. I received this from God, and all these things." When it's like, what if you just took ownership of what you received? What if you took ownership and say, "I taught myself this. This is what I feel like I know." You know, it's always coming from outward. Like I got this from
Because
somewhere
that's
else.
the
I got that
story.
from there.
That's the story they was told. They don't know that. They think it only can come from one place, good or bad, the devil or God, nothing else. when this whole other world of you is created. You can be your ancestors, it can be nature, it can be the animals, it can be the stars, it can be the sun. Everything is a reflection of source, but you think it has to be one or two. So you think, well, it's the good one. Then you instantly give your power away. That's crazy. The
Right,
way you word
right,
it.
right. And it teaches us how no matter how profound or how extreme or intelligent we can get to the point of, like we can get to receiving, we're always giving ownership to someone else. We're always giving ownership to the deity that they created. You know, like at the end of the day, if his name was Yeshua, why change it? If it was Yahweh, why change it? If it was all these other things, why change? You know, but
Yeah.
all these small changes are the things that help us disconnect from ourselves, help us disconnect from what we already do. Like even if you look at in church, when you get in, I know in the Catholic church I was raised in, there was always moments and segments during mass where once you have to do certain prayers, and on those prayers we're supposed to bend down and get on our knees. In the actual sense, if you were living naturally or tribally, to get more grounded, you would get on your hands and knees to speak to the earth, to speak to yourself, to speak to all these things. So all these things that we believe are religious and tied into all these grand things are already tied into what we already do. What is actually natural if you look at humans as a natural being instead of looking at people as these different
Me
ancient aliens and all this other stuff and not connected and all this stuff. You look at us as natural. A lot of these things are common sense.
just like the bugs. They get there, they pull theirs, they pull their navigation, when to leave, when to migrate, when to go eat, when to go hunt. They're pulling it from somewhere. They're pulling that information from the same place we have access to pull information from.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah. Like
not
it's
from the physical. It's nothing in
right,
the physical. They come out and can just know. No instruction. They don't even talk.
right. Like or even I remember like being in school and I recall somebody like asking like how do birds how are they able to like fly in different formations all together and just be able to do it seamlessly and turn and make these formations and like how are fish able to do that? And it's like we ask these questions, but we do the same thing. If you go to a cookout right now, or if you go to a party right now, and they break out uh, the electric slide, we end up moving in formation automatically. We start moving in the exact ways. We start moving just from the rhythm and frequency change. And we and I don't care how far you go back. There was always even in different communities they have line dancing. They have all these different things where people love to move in unison. We like to have these steps and things where we feel like we're part of something greater, and we do
Yeah.
that naturally. But
Because
we
we're so
always no, go ahead.
I said no, because we're social. We do it naturally.
Yeah, and we we don't we're it's like we can see the powers in everything else but ourselves because that's what we're taught.
And dwelling on that, when you have the experience, the supernatural experiences as a kid because you're closer to source, you chalk that up to being the God of the Bible because you've
Hmm.
seen supernaturalness. And that keeps you stuck and faithful in that. It's like it's fucking genius. Now you're using your own power to stay stuck in this cycle of thinking that as attributing something that you did supernatural to something outside of yourself.
Yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
and also just because how we've been programmed, we don't carry the same validity that we would carry if we said God. put the placement of God. So that's why we say, "Oh, I got this download from God," or "God spoke to me." Because if I came, if they, you feel like if you came and told someone, "I came up with this, I did this. This is what I thought of last night," it's not gonna have that's that same power, you
Mm,
know.
yeah, that's
So
true.
like even if you look at the elders when you're younger, when they say, "Oh, I talked to God last night and God told me that you need to get off that alcohol, you need to do that," they would do things like that to rile up emotions and to teach lessons and things like that. But in actuality, their self told them that, but they needed the validity of this outside source so it can actually be heard.
That is that's deep.
You
That's
know.
some deep pattern recognition right there. People should really dwell on it and reflect that. And I think that concept is so deeply embedded into something that could negatively impact the structural foundation of most people's belief systems. So most people will probably swipe when hearing that. But man, oh man, those people that's right there on the verge of really feeling that breakthrough, that this type of information can literally be profound.
Yeah, because imagine if we just start taking ownership of our own power and just stop giving it away so easily. If you have a profound thought and you feel like, "Oh, it's this is outside of my regular way of thinking," maybe you're just connecting to a higher version of yourself instead of it just being some gift you got from an outside source. If you took the ownership of it, then you will actually end up transforming into what you're taking the ownership of. Instead, we put it on the outside where it's like, "Oh, this special thing I just received, and I hope I can receive it again one day." It takes all the power out of the moment, you know. It's just, and it's kind of genius how, like, just like you're saying, how it's so intertwined with what we are and what the religion tells us to be. It's so intertwined that even in times of enlightenment or in times of deep spiritual connection, we still stay stagnant. You know, even in times of deep understanding and deep just moments, we still cannot recognize that in ourselves. We will always have to pay tribute to something else.
Exactly. Because it's just like a muscle or riding a bike. If you don't use it, you lose it. That includes your knowledge. You can gain some knowledge or gain a high perspective, have a high conscious moment, but if you don't integrate and actually start moving and you're still eating that junk food or doing the same thing that your higher self told you, that you told yourself that you shouldn't be doing, then you'll mess around and fall back into that cognitive dissonance so quick. How do you pronounce it? Dissonance so fast. And next thing you know, it's been 6 months and you didn't binge drink or was getting high every day and sat still. You ain't did no working out or you didn't skip this thing or didn't build on this business that you started or whatever it was. And it's so quick. So it's like it's like it's like a muscle. You got to
Yeah.
continuously apply it and integrate it.
And even on that note, even with things like that, we don't even realize our power in that, because in actuality we place the power on anything that can have power, and we are more powerful than anything. It don't matter if it's junk food or if it's this is that. If I place and say this will instead of deteriorate and do it, this will empower me, this will do this will do that, it has to work in the forms of which I command it to. If I say this alcohol, which is spirits and all these things, if I look at it instead of, "Oh, I'm about to just get drunk and get fucked up," which is a bad wording in any sense anyway. Nobody wants to be fucked up, but we like to get fucked up. If I looked at it more of like
That's
like,
crazy.
"Oh, I will ingest this spirit and come more closer with the spiritual," then there would be a whole nother interaction happening. There would be a
Yeah.
whole nother intertwine. And it's just we have taken our power out of everything, because
Mm.
we are we are the all powerful beings that we like to praise to. You know, we are the but we don't believe in our power to have power over what empowers over what overpowers us. because there's nothing that they can create that is more powerful than what we are, and they know that. So in order to have these things control us, they have to take away our power to control it. So like there's the only reason why nature and all these things and all that is because of the power itself. It's from the reality that we've created in ourselves, and then we're saying we're placing the importance of this. And once I give the power, it enhances with that natural source. So with the power of the sun, and once I believe in that power of the sun, I stop saying, "Hey, oh, it's burning me. It's too hot. I want to get out the sun." Once I attach and connect with it, and say, "Hey, with every feeling I feel from each ray of this sun, I am rebuilt and I am empowered and I am this." It changes the whole frequency of the act. I believe that every single thing can be transformed into a positive, just like every anything that can happen, any bad thing that can be transformed into a positive. It's just all about the power we take from it. And even when it comes to just physical, mental health, spiritual, we have to start learning how to take the power from the situations instead of giving the power away in all these situations. Like even from the worst things, as of even death and tragedy and things like that. If we look at it as, oh, this my losing this person as isn't a loss at all. I'm actually gaining a even more powerful connection to spirit and more connection to the greater realm that holds the higher version of myself. And now that's even it could be an even greater thing where the emotions you have, if you feel sad or you feel upset, it has a deeper meaning now. It has a deeper connection to who they are. Like you shouldn't feel ashamed of feeling sad if somebody passed away, or feeling angry if somebody passed away, because that's the emotion they deserve from you. That's the power they deserve. If you empower it, it empowers you. And now it turns into, oh, this is a powerful moment I'm having with this person. They are connected with me right now. I am feeling them even though they're not here physically. I am sharing this moment even though they're not here to actually physically touch and be here. I'm feeling with I'm even more in tune and connected than probably I was when they were here physically.
Absolutely. That is the mind is all. The ancient hermetic spirituality of the Heka was the mind is all, which is what Hermeticism later on basically copied and said all is mind. It's the same thing. Your mind, we are all in. That's because a lot of people think that we are a soul inside of a body, but really, this body is inside of your soul.
For
All of
sure.
this is a reflection of you. This is all in the body of source. This is all in the mind of source. That's what manifestation is, a daydream. We are a dream of source. We are a knot right here in the middle of allness, just knotted up right here. So
Yeah.
so everything is beautiful. It's everything is meant to be. We're in an amazing moment, but even the resistance is a part of this knot. It's a part of this story mode. And it keeps us here because if everybody woke up tomorrow and everybody had what the Gnostics considered gnosis, or what the early Christianities considered Christ consciousness or enlightenment, or what the non-religious people you consider the placebo effect, whatever it is. If we all woke up tomorrow and we 100% exuded that, this knot could potentially, be almost reabsorbed back into source. You know what I mean? And then we'll be our big self again. So it's like if everybody in your dream found out that they were you, if everybody in my dream found out, oh, they were sun ray, I'll probably wake right back up. You know what I mean? And I'll be like, oh yeah, this is who I am. That was
Yeah.
just a dream. So the knots are required. So the yin and yang is meant for this polarity is meant to be here, and we're in the season on when the light is rising back. So it's just this amazing time to be here right now. It's it's you can't do anything about this awakening that's going to happen.
Yeah,
Like you might as
yeah,
well you might as well go into a timeline where everything on this awakening works to your benefit. So it's just a really really good time to start looking outside of the boxes that you've been stuck in, because if not, they're going to be in multiple splits. You know, we're always just going to different timelines at every moment, right? But there are going to be giant shifts that will jump, and that will look different from anybody based on your perspective and based on where you're vibrating at. So it's just an amazing time to get tapped in, because you know, consciousness is rising, man. We're here.
yeah,
It's here.
yeah.
It's here.
Because it's also about realizing that proverbial box that we're placed in is self-made. There is no box. You know, there is no box. And I was wondering, because I know when we talk, you often reiterate that dream idea of us all living in the dreams and the connected dreams and things. I was wondering, have you read the Four Agreements?
No,
And that's I just read it while I was away, and that's the basis of that whole book. And
really.
it's a good read. It's a quick read if you want to check it out. But it's the basis of just talking about how we all are creators and we all are experiencing our own dream. And in order to experience the dream to its fullest, we have these four agreements that that we have to agree to, more than the agreements that we place on everything else. Because our whole reality is based on agreements. Like I agree that, oh, I think that if I think that oh, black people are oppressed and that this is that, that's an agreement I've made when at a certain age, where I just saw these certain little evidences and I said, okay, this is true. Are the agreements of, oh, if a man has to wear a shirt at all times, or this, our women are supposed to dress like this. These are agreements you make throughout life, and the four agreements are based on eliminating all those agreements and just sticking with four agreements, which are what are they? They are don't take things personal, speak in use your words impeccably, do not make assumptions, and I knew I was gonna I probably made the agreement to forget the fourth one, but it's close to that, something like that.
Oh, those
But
are deep.
and it's just about those four things, just agreeing to say, I don't have to fall subject to these rules and these different things. Let me look at the book real quick. It's right here.
When you say
But
agreement, it's just it's collective manifestation,
exactly.
because we all
Oh yeah.
agreed to do it.
And the last agreement is just to always do your best. That's it. No matter what it is, just do your best. So if you don't take things personal, you don't make assumptions, you use your words impeccably, which means to use them at the highest form of their spirit, not to use their words against yourself, and then you just always do your best, then you will create a dream that's worth your dreaming. That is not a suffering, which is inherently more like the heaven that we talk about than the hell that we kind of sometimes agree to live in. You
That's
know.
deep. Yes, I like that.
So yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's deep.
when I was reading it, I thought about you because you often bring up that dream reality where if this is a dream, and if you roll your boat gently down the stream, merrily, life is but a dream. If you look at it and you see it as that, you can start to take a little bit more power. But in actuality, even to the point where people don't even take power in their dreams anymore. You know, we're taught to even take away the power of that. So,
Hmm.
but if we break it down to its simplest form, just like you always bring up, and look at it as that, it can it can make life so much easier and more palatable to progress, instead of looking at it as the hell that they put us in. You know, because there is no they. There there is no, you know. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, there is it only has power if you give it power. The same thing we've been talking about. If I sit here and I say, "Oh, they don't let us do this," or they want us to da da da, and our religion has done this to me, and da 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 da, I'm giving it power. I'm giving it the power to be in my present mind and be a roadblock on my proverbial journey through life. I'm giving myself another hurdle I have to jump through when there are no hurdles. There are no things. I'm able to walk the same way Jesus was able to walk, the same way Yeshua was able to walk, in the lightest light possible. If I believe I'm capable of doing so.
You're talking about the one that actually said that you will walk a more powerful walk and that you're more capable of walking a more powerful walk than him? Yes, because life is a dream. Everything is happening in the dream of source. So when you're dreaming, right, we've all had oppositions in some of our dreams at some point. Would you prefer to stay stuck in that dream, repeating that over and over, or remember that you are the dreamer? So you can just dream a life in which the opposition is already taken care of by other forces and you didn't have to lift your finger because you are the dreamer. That is
Yeah,
how life works. Some people become lucid in that dream state, but you can become lucid in this dream state, which is Christ consciousness, your Kundalini energy rising, which is enlightenment, which is just knowing that I in the Father, I in Source, I in anything are one. There is no
yeah,
opposition. We put the opposition there. I put the opposition there to get this certain energy from it. Get it. Instead of
exactly.
asking yourself at nighttime, the entire dream, why is this happening to me? Won't you just be in the moment and realize that your big self, the one that's sleeping, the infinite dreamer, dreamt this for a reason. They're not going to
Yeah.
dream their own destruction, but something is going to come out of this that they want themselves to have. Be in the moment, be present, and figure it out.
Or in a sense, stop asking those questions and not answering them. Because like
Yeah.
because the thing is it's okay to be like, why is this happening to me? But ask yourself and say, hey, why why is this happening to me? What
With
do I need
real
to,
curiosity,
with actual
not
curiosity, looking
victimhood.
for an answer, not in a just a sense of, oh, God, daddy, why did you do this to me? Ask yourself, why did I do this to me? What did I need to see?
Yeah.
What do I need to know? Why what do I need to figure out now? What growth am I forcing out of myself? What am I pushing towards right now? And if we start asking those questions instead of outward, but ask them inward, then we have to expect an answer from ourselves. And then within just answering the self, half of the problem is solved.
That's it.
Half of it's solved already. The hardest part is there. Once you can figure out why, it helps. You know.
Once you realize you and the one that put that there are the same, then it's easy to trust that it's going to benefit you no matter what. When you
Mhm.
still think that something outside of you put that there, it's hard to think that it's going to work in your favor because it's like, I have no control, but you have more control than anything. You are control. You're so in control that since you believe that you're not in control, you're so supported that you're going to get an experience that you're not in control. That's how
Yeah,
in control you are.
exactly. And that's exactly how things are ingratiated to help assist you into your loss of power. It's just that little connection of saying like, oh, you are in control, but you are in such control that you take away your control, and you are the punishment that you place upon yourself. Every guilt, every shame, every confusion, everything that you feel is placed, that is what will exist. That's what will exude in your reality. It's some shit. It's some shit. You know.
It's it's like what some women go through and they when they're in labor and they have a child and they say, I'll never do that again. And then a few years later they'll be like, I kind of want a baby. It's like that's what source is compared to what we're going through on some of our suffering. it's not unlike some of us to finish a physical manifestation and from a spirit level be like, oh, that was amazing. I think I'll do it again. It don't seem like it from this perspective because we don't have the conceptual perspective of that type of level of perception. You know what I mean? We're like a baby compared to that level, but it's not unlike us to come back. And then a lot of people come back unknowingly because they think that they die thinking they were separated by that which created all of this when really it was them. So they come back unknowingly and redo it and sometimes follow these same patterns until they break these karmic cycles. And they're going to break it someday, whether this life or the
Yeah.
next.
And that reminds me of a quote. I can't remember who said it, but all I can remember right now is on Daniel. It's Daniel Caesar said it on his last album, but I know he got it from somewhere else. But it says, "Pain is inevitable. Misery is a choice. Pain is going to happen. Pain is part of life. We're supposed to feel. Pain is reminding you that you can feel. Pain is going to happen, but that misery that comes from when you say, oh, I don't want no kids because of this and it's so hard with this and this and this, that misery is a choice you're making to hyper focus on just the pain instead of the whole grand scheme of what it actually came from that experience. You know, it's so easily, that's a very thin line where it's just something can happen and you can let the pain or the discomfort take over more space than it actually ever had the property to, you know?
That perspective, your energy can be so knotted up that you can be the generator of your misery and not even know it. Life is all about perspective. You know what I found out? You know that old Chinese proverb that goes, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
Mm-hmm.
When I dig deep into it and I realized the actual meaning, the meaning was if you don't see it and see something and label it as evil,
It's not
then
evil.
it's not there. If you don't speak it as if and say this is so horrible, this was a shitty day at work, then you know what I mean. It's all
Yeah.
related, and then the same thing. So it was all about it was all about the mind and the
Yeah.
perception, and I never knew it was so deep.
And I never looked at it like that, but now that you say that, it ties even right into these four agreements. Those are basically agreements where it's like, I see no evil. I don't see it as evil. Even as if we look at the
Exactly.
stuff that Donald Trump or the government and all this stuff, it's not evil. These are the lashings out of people that want to be heard, that want to have power, that want to do these things, that are grasping for power that's fleeting away from them. If I look at it as more of what it is, I see no evil. I hear no evil because that's not an evil. It's not a. It doesn't have power over me. I speak no evil because I don't deliver evil for myself. I don't give it a place to live, and that's the same thing as the book where it's saying I'm not taking things personal. It's not happening to
Same
me.
thing.
It's not, it's happening for me. I'm not gonna make assumptions to say that it's evil. I'm gonna dig a little deeper and see where it's coming from. And that's where it's like I think where that's what pulled me into like doing hypnotherapy and past life regression, because it's you can take a life, even the life you're at presently, and dissect it down so much to just see the why of where it's coming from, to know that that space where it's coming from is is collectively understood amongst us. Like there's so many things that underlie and go through all of us that can make us turn into these different directions and do all these outlandish and crazy things that you could just point and say, oh, this person's evil, this person does this is that, unless you look at where it could have came from and why. Like, oh, I just watched a video my wife showed me where this little boy, his mom had him on camera and she told him to smash his PlayStation 5 on the ground, because prior to that he was abusing the family cat, and smashing the cat to the point where the cat couldn't move, the cat couldn't eat, the cat almost died. So then, as her punishment, she recorded him smashing his PlayStation, all these different things. When I was like, okay, I understand that, and I'm not mad at it. You're trying to teach a lesson and all these things, but also let's dive into where that form of abuse and where it's coming from and why it's coming out in this child. Why is he finding even gratification from abuse? Why does he think that's okay? Why are all these other things? When it's like, I'm not a fan of people even putting stuff like that on the internet, in a sense, especially with a child, because the internet it can be cruel, and that places a stigma on this child for who knows how long.
And
But
on you, sure.
exactly. But also it's about diving deeper. Like, we have to look at these people and these family members and all, even the people that we look at as the worst, and try to figure out why and where it comes from. That doesn't excuse the behavior, but in learning why, it helps us realize why that trail was taken, why that journey was made, and why these things are happening now. And then when it comes to actually practicing and believing in past lives, it helps us realize that our soul is so big and so eternal that it sometimes won't even come from something that happened right now. It could come from
Mm.
something that happened thousands of years ago that we still haven't overcome, because our reality, our dream, we keep on trying to create a version that we have to grow from this. So it's like, okay, we didn't learn from it when we was in 1941 and we was a bootlegger or something. We didn't learn how to do this and how to overcome our insecurities with this. So now I'm gonna put you in a I'm gonna put myself in a situation where I have to learn it in this way and learn it in this perspective. I learn it in this, and we have to learn to stop running away from ourselves. But in turn, we got to stop giving the power elsewhere. We have to learn to run to the dark where our light can actually be of value. You know, like if we're
That's
always
deep.
running, if we're always if we're always running towards the light, towards someone else's light, how will we ever see ours? Sometimes we have to go to our darkest spots to see exactly how light and how powerful and how valuable we really are.
Face the shadow.
There we go.
To go back what you were saying, that's almost like hear no evil. Because if somebody says something that you interpret as negative or a personal attack, I interpret it as a self-reflection. Now, I don't have to feel offended to set boundaries now. You
Hmm.
know, if it's something that negatively impacts my experience, I'm gonna set boundaries. If you cross some boundaries, you're gone. You're through. They ain't gonna tell you no more. You're through. No, you got to set boundaries, but it's the same thing as see no evil. I don't interpret it as an evil act, as a malicious act on you as a character, because then you subconsciously take that act as a reflection of your worth.
Right.
And
Don't
why
take
would you
things
do that?
personally.
Why would you say that? Then you got to prove your worth. Now you got to stand up. Sometimes you got to fight. Sometimes you got to overcome something. If you got to prove it, you don't believe it yourself.
Hmm.
So
Exactly.
see no evil, hear no evil. It's just as important, because no matter what you hear, no matter how it's interpreted, anything somebody says to you is always a reflection of them, not never you.
Right.
It's just
Right.
how you make them reflect themselves.
Exactly. And then exactly, they're telling that to you to give you an opportunity to not see that in yourself.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's really a reverse psychology confession.
Yeah. It's just like
And
when they say, like, oh, if you ask God for patience, he's not gonna just you're not just gonna be, oh, I'm all patient and I'm cool. You're gonna be delivered opportunities to be patient. So it's, if you want to be strong, you have to you're going to be delivered moments to carry weight. If you want to be smart, you're going to be delivered moments and where you have your ideas are going to be challenged. If you want to be all these things, I want to be great, then you're going to be delivered opportunities where your greatness is going to be challenged, where you're going to have to push yourself beyond average. Greatness is beyond average. So you
Exactly.
have to, so you, and all these things, what we ask for, we get delivered the opportunity to push ourselves there. And in actuality, that's us answering the questions that we're asking. We're saying,
Mhm.
how can I be faster? Oh, here you go. Now your legs feel like they're slower. Now it's this. Now you have to push even harder. Now you have to do this. That will get you faster. How do I become this? Now you have to go through the exact opposite in order to push through to make it to that. This is just we have to believe in ourselves to answer the questions that we're asking instead
Yeah.
of waiting for something else to do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's like speaking to God and asking, and while you're staring in a mirror and saying, "I want this mirror to smile at me," and then God giving you the mirror right in front of you, and you're waiting for the mirror to smile. It's like you got to do your work because this is the opportunity. The mirror is the opportunity for it to smile because it's reflecting you, and you're waiting on it, not knowing that if you start with within and you just smile, the reflection, the physical
Mhm.
reflection will reflect that because
Mhm.
everything is a literal reflection of the vibrational frequency that you prefer, that you don't like. A lot of people don't know that they choose in misery, and you're choosing it every day because you choose to focus on it, you choose to talk about it, you choose to highlight it, you choose to give it your energy. Whatever you give your attention is whatever your life will be. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. So if you're
Mhm.
choosing negative thoughts, you're choosing a negative life because you can choose what you want to think about.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's hard, those energies be pulling you in, but man, don't it feel so much better thinking about the thing that make you the happiest in life right now? I don't care what it is,
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah.
is. Don't that feel better thinking about than what you than that dark stuff? So why not at least start there? Because that's a huge start, man. You can start to subconsciously program your brain chemistry to soon it was going to go here to take a U-turn over here over and over, and you can literally program yourself to instantly think these positive thoughts. That's why you can choose how you want to feel. It has no bearing. Matter of fact, when you ask and you work on growing in a certain area, the true mark of change is not the outside being any different. It's in spite of the
Inside.
outside looking the exact same, you choose to react and interpret it and experience it differently. That is the true mark of change. And then afterwards, the physical reality will have no choice but to reflect
But to
that.
reflect. Yep. There is no world peace unless there's peace within self. There's there's no such. I don't care how peaceful
Yeah,
because you've seen it. You've seen
yeah,
people
exactly.
that are literally in paradise that are on vacation and they're miserable. They could be
Exactly.
they can be and then they're like, oh, I'm sick. This sun is too hot. This that. Where in actuality you have been given the peace that you've asked for, but you have chose to see the other way. So just imagine if you could do that in the opposite, where you could be given whatever is given and you could see the peace. You know,
Mm.
like, but like they say, misery loves company because it all it helps validate those miserable places if I can find somebody else that sees things the same way, which is why it's so easy to trauma build and trauma bond and all these other things because it's so it if you have yourself in a dark space, it feels just a little bit better if somebody's in that darkness with you. You know, you don't feel like it's so much of a personal thing that you're doing to yourself if somebody else is doing it also.
Hmm.
You know, but it's that and it's all it's crazy how simple stuff is. And when you break it down to its simplest form, like it's basically
The deepest
like the
form is
matrix.
also the simplest form.
Yeah, it's basically like the matrix. Everything is ones and zeros. There either is or isn't. There's matter, there's no matter. There's light, there's
Yeah.
darkness. And it's just all about culminating all the things to see the perspective of what you see in this, you know? Yeah, man.
That's wild, man.
Yeah,
It's profound.
yeah, man. But as always, I always have a great time with you on these talks, brother. But
Oh man, it's amazing.
we're gonna finish it up, and once again, I appreciate you. We're gonna be back at it again very soon. And to everybody watching and checking it out, we appreciate you and hope you check us out again.